Good, good. Take a look at Allianz. This is the part I like about Allianz. This is something that no other IUL has. An index, it's pretty simple, right? You have a ceiling, you have a floor, right? If you hit the ceiling, you go over the ceiling, you'll stop at the ceiling. If you go to the floor, you'll stop at the floor, right? IUL's floor is 0%, which is great. Market crashes into the negatives. You're not going to lose a single penny into the market, right? The part I like about Allianz is this. They don't have this ceiling because they operate under a participation, not a cap, right?
140%?
Yeah, it's about between 120 and 140%. So the market, if you're at 140% and the market makes 10, you're making 14%. Has zero ceiling. That's phenomenal. But the lock is the best. Here's what the lock says. Let's say you tell your IUL with Allianz, I want my lock to be 8%, or 8% as an example. And the market starts here. What it does is every month it measures the change. So it might go here, and then the next month it stays the same, and then the next month it goes down, and then the next month it goes up, right? So over the month, this is kind of what the index is doing, right? And then the next month it does, here, and then the next month it goes here, and then the next month here, and the next month here. Let's just say hypothetically that the change, because what will happen is from a 1 year period, right? So you got 20, 21, 20, 22. Throughout the year, the index is going up and down like this, right? But what it's going to really pay you in a normal IUL, what it's going to really pay you is what the change is from here to here. What the change from here to here, what's the change? It doesn't matter that sometime within that year, it went up to here. It doesn't matter.
Point to point.
Huh?
Point to point.
Correct. 1 year point to point, right? Here to here, which don't get me wrong, that's still a positive index. You're making money. But what the lock does, if you say, hey, I want this to lock at 8%, and sometime during the year it hits 8, let's call this dot 8%. It doesn't matter that it dropped afterwards. You're going to make 8% that year because you locked it, right? You literally told the system, I need you to lock me in if it makes 8%. Now, here's the downside to it. If at the end of that year, it closes off here, and let's call that number 9%, you're not making 9, you're making 8. So my advice for anybody who does this is, if you're going to create a lock, make it an aggressive number. There's no point in going conservative. Make it like a 10, 12% type of a lock, because if it hits that number, the likelihood of it passing that number is very slim. But if you hit that number, you're going to make that number for the whole year. No IUL has this other than Allianz. Allianz is a wealth management company. So much so that they don't even offer term. They only offer IUL. They don't offer whole life. They only offer IUL. They don't offer GUL. They only offer IUL. And in order to get into this program, you need to make at least 50K. If you don't make 50K, you can't even look at Allianz. It doesn't matter if you're super healthy, you want to put in $500 a month. Doesn't matter. If you don't make 50K in the application, you can't even apply them for Allianz. They don't take non-residents, right? They want to stay 100% in their lane with regards to what they're bringing to the table, right? This locking feature is what's it. That's why when I try to rank IUL companies, I rank them in two categories, right? You got cash accumulation, right? And then you've got benefits. Because those are two different mindsets. Grow my money, benefits in case shit happens, right? The living benefits. You've got companies like, right? We've got Allianz. You've got North American. You've got American National. And then you have NLG. These are kind of like the bulldogs of the IUL space. Allianz right now is the #1 highest performing IUL. So because they're the #1 in cash accumulation, they're the #4 in benefits. Seesaw, right? #1 in benefits is NLG, which makes it #4 in cash accumulation. More money goes towards the benefits than the cash accumulation. The cost of insurance of NLG internally is pretty high. Even if you run a term quote, if you run a term on Anaco, North American, and NLG, NLG would be the most expensive one because it has the most living benefits. So it's a matter of figuring out the client's perspective. When I talk to the client, that's what I tell them. I go, look, if you want cash growth, we go Allianz. If you want living benefits, we go NLG. What do you want to do? When they say to me, I want both, what I tend to sell them is an IUL from Allianz and a term from NLG. That's what I tend to lean on, right? Now, Anaco has the second best living benefits. Second best living benefits. And in regards to cash accumulation, they battle constantly with North American. They battle constantly with North American. I think North American has better cash accumulation, but Anaco, even though they're #3, they're not far behind that one. The difference is like marginal. But living benefits, Anaco, North American has the 3rd best living benefits. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, completely reversed. It's a seesaw. So I give the clients those choices. In my book of business, you'll see I'm notorious for doing a lot of Allianz business, and then I'll throw in Anaco term or I'll throw in NLG term. A bigger combo you'll find in me is these two companies. You'll find that combo a lot more. I'll leverage NLG a lot for California. I'll leverage NLG a lot for New York, and I'll leverage NLG a lot for non-resident aliens because they have a really good market in that space. They have a really good market in that space. For kid IULs, I'm not leveraging Allianz. For kid IULs, I'm typically leveraging Anaco or NLG. I also leverage North American. I'll tell you why. All 3 of these IULs for kid policies have this thing called a guaranteed insurability rider, GIR. And what that means is that the client, the child, can purchase more insurance in the future as adults without having to medically qualify 6 different times. Literally buy more insurance, regardless of their health. They'll get it approved, guaranteed at the health that they were when they first got it as kids, which is when they're the healthiest anyways. That's huge. That's enormous. So that's what you typically see in my portfolios when I'm selling a lot. Okay. Yours, like you said, you're overfunding it. So you're not doing bad. Can you do better with Allianz? You could, but I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense for you to replace it, being that you've already eaten up some of the costs in the beginning. But what I would do for you is any future policies, you want to start considering some heavy cash accumulation, or look at your wife's policy, like you said, and start considering some heavy cash accumulation. That's how I look at comparisons. If I see IULs that are poorly designed and I know that they can do better, perfect. But your current IUL has a good amount of overfunding. My rule, like I said, for overfunding, 33 to 40, I overfund by 30%. 41 to 50, I overfund by 40%. 51 to 60, I overfund by 50%. And I try not to sell anybody over 60 in IUL. If I sell a 50-year-old in IUL, it's because they're putting in, $500, $600, $700 a month into it. And they know that it's almost like an ROP. They're gonna get back what they put in with maybe 1 or 2% type of a return. It's not gonna be your quadruple your money type of a vehicle. And I have those. I come across them all the time where they tell me, I don't want to do a term policy and I don't want to do a GUL. I want to be able to at least get my money back. All right, well, let's do an overfunded IUL then. And I literally, yours is pretty overfunded. So you're doing well in that world. Make sense?